Alright, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to get some bucket seats in the pickup. So I was looking for some 400 buckets, but I was having a hard time finding them. And I was at the junkyard and found these. They're out of a newer, probably 2000s era Nissan Pathfinder. And they are pretty close to fitting. I'll show you guys what I've done so far. This is the driver's side seat. The passenger already did, just to make sure it was going to work, and I got it to work, and it was a lot easier than this one. So the first thing you got to do on this bigger mount on the outside is cut the bottom probably 1/4 inch off. And this one I had to re-drill this hole because it was sitting too far to the outside of the pickup. So I re-drilled that one, and then this hole obviously isn't going to work. You can see I got a mark there. I got to re-drill that, and then the two rear holes aren't gonna line up either. So they're just going to be drilled through, and then a nut on the underside. The passengers was easy. All I had to do was I cut that same mount. Actually, it's over here. So I cut the bottom of that mount off, re-drilled that hole. That's the middle one there. And then if you can see that little weld there, I cut that bracket, and it was too short, so I cut the bracket and then kind of bent it out, and now it lines up pretty good. And they do need a spacer, about 1 inch spacer on the inside of both sides, because those mounts aren't flat all the way around. They're not square on each corner. So a spacer on the inside. You can see I got one right there, and that's about it. I'm gonna try as well to get these seat belts to work. They're too narrow, but I'm gonna go to Pull and Save again, or the junkyard, and see if I can find one that fit my buckle on the actual belt, and see if it'll bolt onto here. Might be able to make something work there. That'd be a lot cleaner than bolting it into the floor like they are stock. So I'm gonna get that other hole drilled, and then I'll throw that thing in and show you guys how they look. They obviously, I just vacuumed them. I still need to get them shampooed or something and get all that crap out of them. So but yeah, I'll get that hole drilled and then show you guys how they look. Alright, that's how it looks. So there's the one mount, there's the other, and I'll show you the back. So the stock mount is right about here. So we're just going to have to re-drill a hole into there, and you can see that one's way off too. I got this spacer. I might need a little bit more. A little more spacer in there too, but I'm just going to re-drill a hole through both these mounts in the back, get some bolts through there, as long as yeah, there's plenty of room. So we'll get those new holes drilled, get the things bolted in. Actually, I gotta pull them back out and have them cleaned up. They're not too bad, but might as well get them looking new again. Alright, I'll show you guys the passenger seat. So this hole is stock location. That hole is just back from the stock one. That's the one I drilled in the front. That one is stock, and all I did was and this one is just drill that hole in the center and further up, and then like I said earlier, you have to cut the bottom of that mount off, so this right here will sit flat against that rail on the body. So they look pretty good in there. I like it. This one turned out okay. I still got to do a little bit of cleaning on it, but we'll get them cleaned up and get some paint on that, and they'll be done. You can bolt them back in for good. So yeah, these are out of a Nissan Pathfinder. So if you're like me having trouble finding a good, decent, halfway decent even set of 4Runner buckets, these aren't too bad to mount. So just a few drill a few holes in them. Cut a couple. You gotta cut that. Like I said, you gotta cut this here, bend that bracket back a little bit, and weld that back up. You might be able to get away without cutting it and welding it, but I got a welder, so might as well do it the easy way. Alright, here's the final product on these seats. So they, I think they fit pretty good in there. So yeah, then I got this 4Runner center console mounted up. Turned out pretty good. I just made some like U brackets for underneath there and the back. I'll show you the other seat. So there they are, Pathfinder seats. And they still move up. They still move up enough to get you some room in the back. So yeah, cheap little cheap bucket seat upgrade if you're looking. And then the center console's out of a same era 90s 4Runner, so it all looks pretty factory now. So I'm happy with that. Alright, another little update on these seats. So these seats have a buckle bolted onto the seat itself, and I wanted to use that instead of the factory Toyota ones that they bolt onto the floor. So the buckles for these Pathfinder seats are a lot smaller, a lot narrower. The Toyota ones are way wider and they wouldn't fit. And I couldn't find any buckles that bolted on that had a wider clip like that. So what I ended up doing is pull the seat belts all out, and I swapped the entire belt onto the actual spring assembly. So now I have the buckle, and this is all Pathfinder stuff. So that's Pathfinder. Everything, all the latches and mounts on this belt are from the Pathfinder. All I did was pull the belt out of the little spring assembly. I don't really have one right now. Sorry I didn't video everything, but so how they work is this just slides. This is all factory right here. This slides through the little reel, and there's this pin that goes inside of it, and that pin is what holds it in. So you slide it out, you slide that pin out, and then the whole belt can slide out of that whole assembly, and then you just slide the Pathfinder belt into the Toyota little assembly, and it bolts in like factory. And these other mounts don't look too bad. I mean, you can see a little bit of carpet, a little bit of floor there through the carpet, not a big deal. And then these don't have the little covers on them like that's a factory one there. So they don't have the covers, but I'll take it. I mean, in order to use those buckles on the seats, I had to do something. So the only thing I don't like is they don't spring up as good as stock ones, and I don't know why. I retracted that spring all the way, and they just don't have enough tension on them. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but not a big deal, I guess. So yeah, that's the last thing to do with these seats. So we got we got buckles that clip in, so I'm happy with it. It'll work.